Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. So today we're taking on reincarnation.
Oh, big topic.
Huge. Our listener sent us this passage from the Bhagavad Gita, and, well, let's just say it sparked some serious questions.
Definitely. And this isn't just some abstract philosophy,
Right.
It's a dialogue between Arjuna, a warrior facing a very real battle, and Krishna,
Who is, just to remind everyone.
an incarnation of the divine, but also Arjuna's charioteer,
Yeah.
guiding him literally and spiritually.
Okay, so imagine the scene. Arjuna is about to fight his own family.
You can understand his meltdown, right? I mean, talk about an existential crisis.
Zonal crisis. And that's where Krishna steps in with these teachings, the ones that have, well, kind of echoed through history ever since.
Absolutely.
And it all hinges on this idea of reincarnation, right?
That's the core of it, yeah.
The soul being never born, never ceasing to be. That's how Krishna puts it. It's mind-blowing.
It challenges our whole understanding of life and death.
Like, are they even separate things anymore?
Exactly. Krishna is saying they're just states of being for this eternal soul. And he doesn't just tell Arjuna this.
There's more.
Oh yeah, he uses these incredible images.
Okay, like what?
He compares the soul leaving the body to a tortoise withdrawing into its shell.
Powerful, right.
Wow. Yeah, but hold on. If our soul is unchanging, eternal, what does that even mean for, like, personal growth?
Ah, good question.
Or the consequences of what we do?
Yeah,
If we're just hopping from one body to the next, do our choices even matter?
that's where karma comes into play. Krishna's not saying our actions are meaningless.
So I asked accountability.
Absolutely. He explains it like this.
Yeah.
The soul picks up what he calls karmic residue.
From our actions.
Yeah, our thoughts, our choices, it all leaves a mark. And those marks, they shape how the soul experiences future lives.
So it's not like a clean slate each time?
Not quite. We carry the imprint of those past choices. It's like they become our tendencies, our inclinations. Okay, I'm starting to get it. But when Krishna talks about the soul going to inherit a residence afresh, is that literally being reborn?
That's the traditional understanding, yeah.
Yeah.
The soul, after leaving this body, takes on a new one based on its karma.
This cycle of birth, death, rebirth, it never ends.
It's a continuous process. Like, imagine it as the soul's journey of learning and evolving.
Whoa, so each life is influenced by the last. Are we basically stuck in some pre-written fate then?
That's a question that stumped people for centuries. See, Krishna doesn't paint us as puppets.
There's free will involved.
Exactly. He emphasizes right action, aligning yourself with your Dharma. It's about owning your choices, understanding they have ripple effects way beyond this one life.
Makes sense. Not just accepting whatever happens, but actively shaping our future through what we do. But how do we even know what our Dharma is?
Especially now, right? So many paths, possibilities.
Exactly. It's overwhelming.
It's a journey, finding your Dharma. It's about tapping into your unique talents, passions, and values. Ask yourself, what brings you joy? What feels deeply meaningful? Where can you truly contribute?
So it's like a Venn diagram, where your passions and skills overlap with what the world needs.
That's a great way to visualize it.
Krishna also talks about detachment, though.
Ah, yes.
Acting without being attached to the results. In today's world, obsessed with goals and achievements, how do we even do that?
That is the challenge, isn't it? It's about shifting our focus, not what's in it for me, but what's the right thing to do.
So acting with integrity.
Yes, and purpose. Not chasing personal gain or recognition for every action.
So ambition isn't bad, but it's about the attitude.
Exactly. Giving your best, focusing on the process, not getting consumed by the outcome.
Feels like a recipe for inner peace, but it probably takes a lot of practice.
It does. Self-awareness, too.
How do we even start detaching from outcomes when, well, our lives are built around striving for them?
That's where yoga comes in.
Wait, like downward dog? Yoga?
That, too. But Krishna is talking about a deeper practice, a path of spiritual discipline.
Okay, more than just poses then. What does that actually involve?
It's meditation, breath work, ethical conduct. It's about stilling the mind, controlling the senses, and ultimately going beyond the limitations of the ego.
Whoa, sounds intense. But in the excerpt, Krishna offers this path to Arjuna as a way to, like, escape the whole reincarnation cycle.
Yes. He mentions achieving yoga and peace.
So is that the ultimate goal, according to the Bhagavad Gita, I mean?
Yes, it is. Liberation.
Yeah.
Reaching a state of lasting peace and unity with the divine. And it's not through rituals or outer action.
It's internal.
Exactly. Inner transformation. Mastery of the self.
That's profound. But are we all meant to become hermits meditating in caves?
Not necessarily. Remember, he's speaking to a warrior, someone deeply engaged in the world.
Right.
It's about finding balance, acting with wisdom and detachment, even amidst life's complexities. Finding that inner peace which sustains us through it all.
That's a message for everyone, even today. Wow, we've covered a lot. The eternal soul, reincarnation, karma, dharma, even yoga as a spiritual path.
A lot to unpack.
Before we keep going, let's recap. Like, how do these pieces connect?
Okay, so the soul, right, eternal,
Yeah.
going through this endless cycle of birth, death, rebirth, each life influenced by the karma from past lives.
But we are responsible for our choices.
Absolutely. We have the power to act in line with our dharma, our unique purpose in this life.
And practices like yoga, they help us cultivate detachment, equanimity, so we can face life's ups and downs with more wisdom.
It's all about self-discovery and spiritual growth. It leads to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in everything.
Now that we've got the basics, I want to dive into the practical stuff. How do these teachings actually APPLY to our lives today?
Yeah, that's the key question, isn't it? How do we take this ancient wisdom and make it relevant in our modern world?
Right. How do we live this stuff day to day?
It's easier said than done, right? Like, be detached. But when you're stressed, facing a deadline, a fight with someone you care about, how does that philosophy actually work?
Totally. It's one thing to get the concept, another to, live it.
Exactly. The thing is, we often get so attached to specific outcomes.
Like, we need things to go a certain way.
Yeah, we have this fixed vision, and if it doesn't happen, bam. Disappointment, frustration, sometimes even anger.
So detachment is about loosening that grip, not trying to force everything into our pre-made plan.
You got it. Think of it like a gardener. They plant the seeds, take care of them.
But they can't control everything.
Right. Some plants will thrive, some won't. The gardener puts in the effort, but the results, those aren't always guaranteed.
That's a great analogy. It makes me think about times I was so focused on the goal that I didn't even enjoy the process of getting there.
It's like being on a road trip and only caring about the destination. You miss all the scenery along the way.
Exactly. Detachment doesn't mean we don't care about the results ETA all.
Right. It's more about realizing our happiness shouldn't depend on things we can't always control.
That's freeing when you think about it like that. But it's a whole mental shift, isn't it?
It is. But you cultivate it through practice. One technique that can be helpful is mindfulness meditation. Training your mind to, observe your thoughts and feelings without judging them.
So not emptying your mind, but more like becoming aware of what's in it.
Yeah. By building that mindfulness, we start to notice when we're getting caught up in attachment, when our ego is clinging to something needing to be a certain way.
And then what? We back off a little.
From that awareness, you can gently loosen the grip, surrender to what I ask, instead of fighting against it.
So it's about spotting those patterns in ourselves and choosing a different response.
You got it.
Yeah.
You're creating space in your awareness, so you're not so reactive to all the ups and downs.
Okay, I can see how that leads to more peace, less getting thrown off balance. What about finding your Dharma? How do you actually turn that into action?
That's a big one.
Yeah.
It's rarely a lightning bolt moment, Here's your purpose.
It's more of an ongoing process.
Exactly. You pay attention to what excites you, the things you get lost in where you feel like you can genuinely make a difference.
Not just a job title, but like the deeper motivations behind it.
Yes. It might be your career, but it could also be your relationships, your creative outlets, how you contribute to your community.
So Dharma's broader than just work then.
Much broader.
Yeah.
So practically, how do you start exploring it? Self-reflection. Big time.
Journaling, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Journaling, meditating, even just quiet time in nature. Reflect on what brings you joy, what you're good at, what values guide you.
Taking that time to connect with yourself is crucial.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to experiment. Try new things. Step out of that comfort zone.
Even if you don't have some huge revelation, just exploring is valuable.
Of course. It's all self-discovery. Even the missteps teach you something.
That's reassuring to hear. Okay, so we've got detachment, finding your Dharma, the path of yoga as a spiritual discipline. How does all this connect to breaking free from the reincarnation cycle, like Krishna talks about?
The key is liberation in the Bhagavad Gita. It's not about running away from the world or responsibilities.
Not about becoming a hermit, then.
Not necessarily. It's more about inner freedom. Freedom from the ego's grip, from that constant back and forth of wanting and rejecting.
So finding peace within no matter what's going on around you.
Exactly. And these practices, they're all tools to help cultivate that inner freedom.
We're breaking those chains, the ones that keep us stuck in suffering.
That's a powerful way to put it. As we purify our thoughts, actions, intentions,
Liberation happens naturally.
it unfolds on its own. It's important to remember the journey matters just as much as the destination.
So every step towards being more self-aware, every act of kindness, every moment of mindfulness, it all adds up.
It all contributes to our spiritual growth.
It's not about being perfect someday, but being the best version of ourselves right now.
Beautifully said. Living with intention, with purpose, understanding that we're all connected.
So how does this actually play out in the modern world? Things are so fast-paced, so many distractions, everyone's pushing for success. Can these ancient ideas even work today? Seriously, it's like everywhere you turn, there's this pressure to do more, be more, have more. It's easy to lose sight of what actually matters in all that noise.
Yeah, that's a big part of the challenge today, for sure. And the Bhagavad Gita, I mean, it was written ages ago, different world. But the funny thing is, its teachings are still so relevant.
So how do we bridge that gap, like ancient wisdom, modern life? How do we actually make it work?
Okay, let's take detachment. In a world obsessed with striving, it sounds kind of crazy.
Totally counterintuitive.
But it's not about giving up on goals or just being passive. It's more about how we see things.
So focus on the process, not just the end result.
Exactly. Find the joy in the journey. Creating, learning, growing. Don't tie your happiness only to hitting some specific target.
I can see how that would take a load off, for sure. But how do you actually do that? In real life, I mean.
Okay, say you're working on this tough project, right? Instead of stressing about whether it'll succeed, what if you shift your attention to the work itself?
Like, get into the nitty-gritty, enjoy the problem solving, maybe even the teamwork.
Yeah. Appreciate the chance to learn, to collaborate, celebrate those small wins as you go.
So, finding satisfaction in the doing, not just waiting for the reward at the end.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And this works beyond work, too. Think about relationships.
Okay.
Detachment can help us love people without needing them to act a certain way or live up to our expectations.
It's about accepting them for who they are, not who we wish they were.
Exactly. And ironically, that often leads to stronger, more genuine connections. Funny how that works, huh?
So, finding your Dharma in today's world, so many choices, so many paths, it's almost paralyzing.
True. But all those options, they're also an opportunity. You can explore different things, experiment, figure out what truly resonates with you.
It's less about the one right path and more about the search itself.
Exactly. And the Gita reminds us, our Dharma isn't fixed. It can change as we do.
Okay, so how do we navigate that? What advice would you give someone who's like totally lost, no clue about their purpose?
First, pay attention. What piques your interest? What activities make you lose track of time? What causes light you up inside?
It's about following those gut feelings.
Yeah, see where they lead. Don't be scared to try new things. Get out of your comfort zone.
Even if you don't have some big epiphany, just trying stuff is worthwhile.
Absolutely. It's all part of self-discovery. Even if you take a wrong turn, you learn something.
That's a good point. Okay, so we've talked about detachment, finding your Dharma, even yoga as a spiritual practice. How does all this tie back to liberation from the cycle of reincarnation, the thing Krishna keeps coming back to?
The core idea is true liberation. It's not about escaping the world or reaching some perfect enlightenment someday.
It's more internal.
Yeah, it's about finding freedom within yourself. Right here, right now.
So inner peace that doesn't depend on what's happening around you.
That's it. And all these practices, they're tools to help you cultivate that inner freedom.
Like we're breaking free from the habits, the clinging, all the stuff that keeps us stuck in the cycle of suffering.
Exactly. And as we cultivate these qualities, detachment, purpose, inner peace, we naturally start acting differently.
Our choices become less about ego, less self-serving,
and more about understanding how we're all connected.
So that change in how we see things, how we act, that's what ultimately leads to liberation.
That's the path. Whether it's liberation from reincarnation or from the limits we put on ourselves, it's all interconnected.
Wow, this deep dive has been amazing. We've gotten into some seriously deep concepts, but there's also so much practical wisdom we can use in our lives.
It's remarkable how relevant these teachings still are, thousands of years later. They offer this timeless wisdom for living a life with more meaning, more fulfillment, more purpose.
Absolutely. So to our listener, I encourage you to take this all in. See what resonates with you. Try out these practices and see how you can bring this ancient wisdom into your modern life.
It's a journey. Enjoy the process of discovering yourself. Let that inner wisdom be your guide.
And remember, even with all the craziness and challenges of life today, you do have the power to find inner peace, your purpose, a life that truly reflects who you are at your core.